Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be checking out the much anticipated X-Men Hellfire Gala issue 1 by Gerry Duggan and almost all of Marvel's current X-Men artists. The end is now here for the X-Men, who are putting on their annual Hellfire Gala, and this year's theme is friendship and futurism. Rather fitting theme for what's about to go down. Right from the get-go, Duggan writes the book with an air of danger. You can feel something is going to happen, and not just because something has happened at every other gala before this. This time it feels different, and there's a tension that comes through so damn well. You can like cut it with a knife. There's something happening, and people kind of know there's going to be something happening, but they're not really sure what. They just think it's more mutant gifts being given out. This is also the issue we see the rebirth of Miss Marvel thanks to the Five and the Mutant Hatchery, and while it's a very small part of the book, it's interesting nonetheless, since many of the mutants, particularly Emma Frost, think that Kamala will now come out as a mutant. Yet Kamala doesn't want that at all, since this isn't who she is, and she knows who she is and just wants to be Kamala Khan again. This greatly disappoints Emma, and it's so hilarious watching Gerry just completely undo all of the fanfare surrounding her death over in Amazing Spider-Man and that special death funeral issue we got as well a couple of weeks ago, and he just deals with it with a bunch of throwaway lines regarding Emma rewriting her parents and other people's memories so that it'll be like she never actually died, making me question why on earth did they kill her in the first place, since if this was all just about making her a mutant or changing her status quo that so that she could join the X-Men and become a mutant, why didn't they just do that? Why did they have to go through the whole death thing? They could have just made her a mutant. Kamala sort of disappears from the book after this, and so do the Avengers, who rush off to deal with something we'll see in Uncanny Avengers. Rogue 2 is activated as an Avenger again to go and help Steve Rogers, who is seemingly under attack in Washington DC. It's just a fun little tease that helps set the book up, and maybe there's a bit more of a sinister plot to it, since maybe this is a way to get all of the heavy hitters off the island before something goes down. Jonathan Hickman also returns for a single page where he teases his upcoming Gods book, introducing us to Wynn, the character from that book, who turns up to the gala and calls the mutants arrogant pricks for thinking and proclaiming that they are gods, basically saying what we're all thinking, and it's revealed that he actually also works for the gods and is seemingly a diplomat or some sort of lackey on behalf of the big guy upstairs. Like all Hellfire Galas before this one, the event is used to also choose the next team of the X-Men, and this is probably the most interesting team yet. We have mainstays Synch and Talon, the future version of X-23 from the Vault, Prodigy, Cannonball, Frenzy, Dazzler, Jubilee, and Juggernaut of all people. This is a very fun team. It's very diverse in who's on there in terms of powers and ethnicities, and it's really quite an interesting team. This team, however, doesn't last very long, as they are all, quite literally in the next page, are immediately murdered by the arrival of Nimrod, who sends the gala into utter chaos as the mutants try to combat the being and Orchis. On top of Nimrod, Fei Long's Stark Sentinels also descend on the island, as does Dr. Stasis and Camera, finally confronting Xavier. The hits also keep coming as MODOK also attacks, revealing that they kind of messed up the mutant medicine that they've been giving to the humans, and now it turns humans into rage monsters who at the touch of a button can be used to turn on each other and just murder each other wantonly. Orchis also joins in the battle with the ground forces attacking via the KRAKOA gates using technology they took from horticulture. Yes, horticulture, those old women from, 20 issues ago. But wait, there's even more, as Moira X makes her grand return and moves against Xavier, stabbing Jean Grey with a Brightswill coated blade from Otherworld, which effectively takes Jean's powers, and then she captures Xavier at knife point and demands he stand the X-Men down and leave Earth entirely, since this was the end game for Orchis and Dr. Stasis and all these guys. They want the mutants to leave Earth for good. Dr. Stasis gets a great line here where he threatens to kill humans in the power of 10 every time a mutant is found on Earth. It's a really fun little jab at the whole power of X thing, and so fitting that Stasis of all the characters gets to make that joke. All of this culminates in every mutant on Earth being forced to leave through the gateways, which Orchis then locks behind them, preventing them from from ever returning. A few mutants do manage to slip through, specifically Fisk and a group of mutants manage to head to New York. Fisk is quite interesting since he, in the battle, somehow loses Typhoid Mary. Like, he can't find her, he doesn't know where she is, so it's quite interesting to see Fisk now seemingly helping the mutants. It's going to be quite interesting to see what his role in their little resistance against Orchis and Stasis and all these people will be. Another mutant who actually survives is Wolverine, who, fitting in Wolverine fashion, turns up to the party late, and because of that he's sort of seen all the carnage and ends up violently murdering a bunch of Orchis soldiers, and I guess that's going to be picked up a little bit more in the Wolverine ongoing. Probably the most interesting one left behind is Kitty Pryde, since this whole time, ever since the KRAKOA era has started, it's been revealed that she cannot pass through the Krakoan gateways for one reason or another, most likely due to her powers. I'm not sure whether it was actually explained away in a book she was in. I'm not too sure about that. Maybe it was, maybe someone can tell me in the comments below. But she's not been able to pass through the portals now, but now that they're locked out to mutants, she can pass through the portals, and she ends up getting captured by Orchis, or at least until the next X-Men issue, where it looks like she's going to become Shadowcat and become a type of stealth ninja sort of X-Men, which seems pretty cool role for her. Duggan just brings everything from the last few years of X-Men together just so flawlessly, and it's just so satisfying seeing Xavier begin to reap what he has sown since the very beginning of the KRAKOA era. Balancing all of this out and giving everything a fair go is no small task, and I just can't believe how he managed to pull this off and just keep continuing to build up all these different threats coming together and just tying it all together. It must have taken months of planning. Now let's talk about the artwork, because this book uses the combined efforts of Adam Kubert, Luciano Vecchio, Matteo Lolli, Russell Dorderman, Javier Pina, RB Silva, Joshua Cassara, Chris Anker, and Pepe Larraz. This is a complete powerhouse of talent, and all these guys have worked in one way or another on these X-Men books, so they know how to draw these characters and what these characters will look like and everything. So everything just looks wonderful. It's all vibrant colors and action sequences that are violent and over the top, and because it's the X-Men Gala, we also get really cool new looking costumes, which we don't really see for that long because everything just goes to shit, but they look fantastic, and each artist worked in tandem with each other to pull it all together and give the Fall of X a beautiful finale. Jerry Duggan and his team really outdid themselves on what is probably going to be the final Hellfire Gala, bringing the entirety of the Krakoan era storylines home to roost, balancing so many of these stories, yet it never felt totally overwhelming, except when it needed to be and required the story to be. I'm so very excited to see what the next chapter of the X-Men has in store for these characters now that they cannot seemingly return to Earth. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10, and I thoroughly recommend it. And I recommend it if you are a new reader to X-Men as well, since it's a great jump off point if you want to see the fall of the House of X in its entirety.